All right, so imagine this. You wake up one morning, you're pouring your coffee, right?
Yep.
And you look out the window, and you just get this, I don't know, this sudden visceral sinking feeling.
Well, yeah.
Not like, a big bang, no asteroids, no big flash.
Right, it's not the apocalypse movie.
Exactly. It's more that the very fabric of society is just sort of quietly coming apart, like a sweater that got snagged.
It's a haunting way to start, isn't it? It's not about an explosion. It's about a fraying. It's this quiet entropy of the human spirit.
That's the perfect word, entropy. It's in those moments you realize conversations, they just feel a little shallower than they used to. You had a dinner party, you're on a date, whatever, and it feels like nobody can hold on to a single topic for more than, 3 minutes?
If that, yeah.
And the entertainment we consume.
It feels like it's all rewarding noise.
Yeah, right.
Volume over actual depth. It genuinely feels like we're collectively just sliding into this warm, comfortable bath of stupidity. It really is the sensation of a slow-motion collapse. And we are covering some incredibly heavy, but I think important material today that really captures that feeling.
Yeah.
It poses a question that I think a lot of us have felt deep down, but maybe we haven't said it out loud because, well, it sounds kind of arrogant.
It does. What is it?
Why does it feel like society is becoming more stupid every single day?
Oof. Yeah, it sounds harsh. More stupid. I mean, come on. We have smartphones. We have AI now, electric cars. How can we possibly be getting stupid?
It seems like a contradiction.
It is. But when you start to look at the symptoms, which we're going to unpack today, it's really hard to argue against that feeling.
It really is.
And here's the core paradox that really, it just messes with my head, and I think we should start right here.
Okay.
We are living in an age of infinite information.
The Library of Alexandria is in your pocket.
Yeah.
Literally, it's in everyone's pocket.
Right. The greatest library ever created is right at our fingertips. More knowledge than all previous generations of humanity combined. You can literally learn quantum physics on YouTube while sitting on the toilet.
And yet,
true wisdom, deep understanding feels rarer than ever.
And that is the central tension of our time, isn't it? How can we be drowning in data, but at the same time, we're absolutely starving for wisdom?
Starving is the right word.
The material we've been digging into suggests we're sinking into an abyss of superficiality. And this isn't just, kids these days on TikTok or people being annoying on Twitter.
No, it's bigger than that.
We are talking about a collective decline in our ability to process reality itself.
The stakes are just huge. We're not just talking about a bad mood or, being cynical. We are talking about the atrophy of the human mind.
It's a heavy topic.
It is. But, and I want to put a pin in this right at the start, it's not all doom and gloom. It's really not. There is a final insight at the end of this deep dive that I think completely flips the script.
I agree. It's a very powerful one.
A realization about why this is happening, and maybe more importantly, the power we actually have as individuals to stop it.
It is a transformative realization, but to get there, we have to go through the diagnosis first. We have to look at the symptoms. We have to understand the pathology of the disease before we can even begin to talk about a cure.
Okay, so let's do it. Let's start with the diagnosis. Why? Why do we choose the shallows? Why are we all wading in the intellectual kiddie pool when there's this entire ocean out there?
Well, the research points to something biological to start with, which is fascinating. It brings up the work of Daniel Kahneman.
Ah, okay. The thinking fast and slow guy.
Exactly. The psychologist who won a Nobel Prize for his work on behavioral economics, an absolutely essential read. Kahneman describes these dual processes of the brain. He calls them System 1 and System 2.
Okay, break those down for us, because I have a feeling I live almost entirely in System 1.
I think most of us do, to be honest. The System 1 it's fast, it's automatic, emotional, completely subconscious.
The gut feeling.
It's the gut feeling. It's the part of your brain that snaps to attention when you hear a loud noise, or the part that instantly recognizes a friend's face in a crowd. It's completely effortless.
Okay, and System 2?
System 2 is the opposite. It's slow, it's deliberate, it's based on logical reasoning. It's the part of your brain you have to consciously activate to solve a math problem or, figure out which mortgage to take.
Right, and the catch is that System 2 it's expensive.
Incredibly expensive. I mean, from a biological standpoint, the brain is a biological machine, and it consumes a massive amount of our body's glucose.
It's the energy hog.
A huge one. And so, evolutionarily speaking, thinking hard, actually, using that slow, deliberate process is a major caloric drain. So if you give the brain a choice, it will almost always lean toward the quick, easy answer.
It wants the shortcut.
It always wants the path of least resistance.
So we're not necessarily stupid by nature. We're just biologically efficient. We are wired to be energy-saving machines.
Efficient is the kind word. Lazy is probably the more accurate one. But here is where it gets really dangerous in the modern world.
Okay.
In the wild, that efficiency kept us alive, right? Yeah. You don't want to use System 2 to decide if that rustling in the bushes is a lion.
No, you want System 1 to just make you run immediately.
Exactly. But in the modern world, our entire society is now structurally designed to exploit this one biological weakness.
That's the part that's so scary. It's not just that we're lazy, it's that we are actively being engineered to stay that way.
Yes.
I mean, think about the infinite scroll on social media. Think about the autoplay feature on Netflix or YouTube. Think about political slogans.
They're all designed for System 1.
Every single one of them. They're designed to keep us in that fast emotional state. They do not want you to pause. They don't want you to reflect.
Precisely. Because if you're reflecting, you aren't scrolling. If you're analyzing, you aren't clicking ads. The modern environment is basically a trap for the biological brain.
It is.
It's like putting a person who evolved over millennia to crave sugar and fat in a room made entirely of candy and donuts.
You're just going to gorge yourself.
We are gorging ourselves on mental sugar, this easy, fast, emotionally charged information, and we are collectively getting cognitively diabetic.
I love that analogy, cognitive diabetes. That is perfect. And this connects directly to a concept from the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, which I was surprised to see come up, but it fits so well, the concept of the last man.
The letzte Mensch. Yes, this is one of Nietzsche's most chillingly prophetic concepts. It shows up in Thus Spoke Zarathustra.
So paint the picture for us. Who is this guy? Because when I was reading the description, I have to admit, I felt a little bit personally attacked.
You should. We all should. The last man is Nietzsche's warning about the end state of Western civilization, what we were all heading towards.
Okay.
This is an individual who has completely abandoned the drive for greatness, for overcoming challenges, for any kind of depth. The last man just wants comfort.
Comfort above all.
Comfort, security, a little bit of warmth. He says, famously, we have invented happiness. And then Nietzsche adds, and he blinks.
We have invented happiness. I mean, that sounds pretty nice, doesn't it?
It sounds nice, but it's a sedated, medicated, incredibly shallow happiness. The last man shuns anything that demands true thought or suffering or struggle. He avoids danger. He avoids the peaks and valleys of life.
In favor of just a flat line.
A flat line of mild amusement.
It's the ultimate couch potato. But it's deeper than that. It's a kind of spiritual couch potato.
Exactly. It's an entire existence that is defined by avoiding friction. And just look at how we live today. We have apps to deliver our food so we don't have to cook or even talk to a waiter.
Right.
We have algorithms that pick our movies and our music so we don't have to search or take a risk. We have political echo chambers designed to tell us we're always right so we never have to debate. We are engineering a world for the last man to thrive in.
It's the TLDR generation. Too long, didn't read. That is the official motto of the last man. Can you summarize this 500-page book for me in a single tweet?
And if you can't, I'm not interested.
Not interested, gone. And Nietzsche, he despises this figure, right? He contrasted the last man with the Übermensch, the overman, the one who embraces suffering to create meaning.
He did. But look around us. Who's winning, the overman or the last man?
Oh, the last man is winning by a landslide. He's not just winning, he has a TikTok account with 50 million followers.
He absolutely does.
And this pairs so perfectly with Neil Postman's work, Amusing Ourselves to Death, which, I have to say, is just such a banger of a title.
It's the essential text for understanding the television age, and it applies double, maybe triple, for the internet age. Postman's whole argument was that the medium of communication, it dictates the content of the culture.
So when everything became televised,
everything became entertainment.
And his big comparison was between George Orwell's vision and Aldous Huxley's, right?
Yes, exactly. Everyone is terrified of the Orwellian nightmare. You know, 1984, the boot stamping on a human face, the government banning books, Big Brother.
The overt totalitarian control.
But Postman said, no, look at Huxley's Brave New World. In Huxley's vision, no one needs to ban the books, because no one wants to read them anyway.
You don't need a prison guard if the prisoner loves his cell.
Because the cell is full of, VR games and mindless sitcoms and drug soma.
Exactly.
Postman argued that our real prophecy is the Huxleyan one. Entertainment has become the epistemology of our age. It is the lens through which we view all of reality.
Even the really serious stuff, especially the serious stuff.
That's the real tragedy. Politics, morality, war, justice. It's all been reduced to a form of spectacle.
Yeah.
It's designed to capture your attention for a few fleeting seconds, give you a little emotional hit, and then immediately move you on to the next thing. A presidential debate isn't about policy. It's about who got the best zinger for the social media clip.
Or who looked better on camera.
A war isn't a complex human tragedy. It's just a backdrop for some pundit's hot take on cable news.
We really are amusing ourselves to death.
Yeah.
We're either laughing or we're outraged while the whole ship is sinking. But I want to talk about what this is actually doing to our brains, physically. Because we're not just culturally shifting here, we're physically changing. The research brings in Steven Pinker and this idea of neuroplasticity.
Right, and neuroplasticity is a classic double-edged sword. On the one hand, it means the brain is malleable. It can change based on how you use it.
Like a muscle.
Like a muscle. If you learn to play the violin, the part of your brain that controls your fingers physically grows and gets more complex. But the reverse is also true. If you stop using a faculty, it withers.
Use it or lose it. It's that simple.
The material explains that the brain adapts to its environment. So if you are constantly, day after day, bombarding your brain with these short bursts of content, 15-second videos, 280-character tweets, flashing headlines, your brain physically adapts to that rhythm.
And it starts to crave it.
It starts to crave brevity.
Yeah.
It creates this feedback loop where you actually start to lose the chemical ability to sustain focus for long periods.
So we are literally retraining our own brains to have ADHD.
Effectively, yes. I mean, think of deep reading as a muscle, like a bicep. If you were to lie in bed for 3 years, your muscles would atrophy. You couldn't just get up and decide to run a marathon.
No way. You could even walk to the kitchen.
And we have spent the last 10 to 15 years lying in the cognitive bed of social media. And now, when we try to pick up a complex book, we feel a physical resistance. It's uncomfortable.
Oh, that explains so much. I feel that. I used to be able to sit down and just read for 3 hours straight, no problem. Now I feel that twitch, that itch to check my phone after just 3 pages.
It's not just a bad habit.
No, it's a physiological withdrawal symptom.
It is. Your brain is screaming for the dopamine hit of the next thing. And the consequence of all this is that we can now process huge amounts of shallow information. We can recognize 1,000 memes. We know all the latest celebrity gossip, but we struggle to engage with anything that requires sustained, deep attention.
We're trading depth for breadth. But it's a very, very shallow breadth.
It's a mile wide and an inch deep.
So that's the diagnosis. We have the biological weakness from Kahneman, we have the cultural push towards comfort with Nietzsche's Last Man, and we have the physiological change in our brains from Pinker.
That's a pretty bleak picture.
It is. So now let's look at the mechanism.
Yeah.
How does this stupidity, how does it actually spread? Because it feels viral.
It is viral, and the key mechanism here is a battle. Speed versus truth. And in a system that is built entirely for speed, truth is at a major disadvantage.
Okay, why? Why is truth a disadvantage? That sounds backwards.
The truth is messy. Truth is,
Yeah.
frankly, it's often boring. It requires context and nuance and patience.
Things the internet hates.
The research cites this massive study from MIT that looked at false news on social media. They analyzed millions and millions of tweets over a decade.
I remember this coming out. The results were just terrifying.
They found that false news travels significantly faster, farther, and deeper into the network than verified true facts. It wasn't even close.
What was the number?
Falsehoods were 70% more likely to be retweeted. The question is, why?
Is it just because the lie is sexier? More interesting?
That's basically it. The researchers found that false news stories were consistently more novel, and they evoke these high arousal emotions, things like fear, disgust, surprise.
The stuff that makes you click.
Exactly. And truth often evokes, well, nothing. Or it requires you to hold on and say, well, it's complicated.
It's complicated does not go viral. It's complicated is a buzzkill.
It's complicated is a speed bump in the information highway. And in a society that is addicted to speed, nuance is always the first casualty. We want the villain and the hero right now.
We want the backstory.
We don't want the economic context or the historical precedents. We want the tweet that confirms our bias so we can smash that retweet button and feel good for a second.
And this bleeds directly into our education system, too. The material brings up John Dewey, the great philosopher of education, and it contrasts how we learn today with how, say, Plato's academy worked back in ancient Greece.
It's a really stark contrast. In those ancient traditions, students would spend years wrestling with a single massive question. What is justice? What is virtue?
Not something you can answer in a multiple-choice test.
Absolutely not. They would debate, they would refine their arguments, they would sit with the difficulty and the ambiguity of it all.
And today is bubble sheets and standardized tests.
Today, our systems have largely shifted to rote memorization and performance on standardized tests. We've turned education into a series of checkboxes to tick off.
It's the factory line.
Dewey believed that education is life itself, not just preparation for a job, but we've turned it into a factory line.
We're not producing citizens, we're producing widgets, people who can perform a task.
We are churning out people who are very good at passing a test, but who often can't navigate a genuinely ambiguous situation in the real world. Which brings us to the psychological root of this whole mechanism, the fear of ambiguity.
Ah, and this is the Carl Jung connection.
Yes. Jung believed that true growth, real psychological maturity, comes from confronting contradictions. He called it embracing the shadow.
You have to be able to hold two opposing ideas in your head at the same time without freaking out.
And we hate that. As humans, we absolutely despise cognitive dissonance.
It causes a kind of physical pain.
It does, and the modern world is built to cater to this intolerance for ambiguity. We would much rather have a false certainty than a complex truth. We want a slogan. We want a side to pick.
My team is good, your team is evil. End of story.
This creates a huge vulnerability, doesn't it? If you can't handle ambiguity, you are a sitting duck for any person or any ideology that offers you a simple answer, even if that answer is a complete and total lie.
That is the mechanism of stupidity right there. It's not just about not knowing things. It's an emotional need for simplicity that makes you actively reject reality.
It makes us incredibly vulnerable to demagogues who stand up and say, I alone can fix it. It's a very dangerous state to be in.
Which leads us directly into the consequences. Because if we are stripping away nuance, if we're retraining our brains for speed, if we are avoiding the hard work of thinking, what actually happens to us as a civilization?
Well, one of the first and most profound consequences mentioned is what's called the death of memory.
This brings in the philosopher George Santayana.
And you know the famous quote, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it."
It's a cliche for a reason. It's true. But the digital age has put this really weird spin on it. It's not that we're going out and burning the history books.
Yeah.
It's that we're just burying them under an avalanche of cat videos and celebrity gossip.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's the eternal now. Digital media floods us with the new. Every second, there's a new trend, a new outrage, a new meme to keep up with. And this constant flood it erases the past.
Yesterday is ancient history. Last week is.
Yeah.
It's forgotten.
I feel this constantly. Sometimes I'll see a headline about some massive scandal from, say, 3 months ago, and my first thought is, oh yeah, that happened, and I've already completely forgotten the details.
Me too. It's gone.
And when you live in that eternal now, you lose the wisdom of what we might call the wisdom keepers. In the past, you had elders, you had philosophers, you had historians, people whose entire job was to maintain the long view.
To be the person in the room who says, hey, wait a minute, we tried this 50 years ago and it was a complete disaster.
And who have we replaced them with?
Influencers.
Exactly. We have replaced the elder with the influencer, and the influencer's primary goal is not truth. It is engagement, it's views, it's likes, it's monetization.
You cannot build a stable, long-term civilization on likes.
An influencer lives in the second, a philosopher lives in the century. We are listening to the people with the shortest possible time horizon.
It's terrifying to think about. We're severing our own roots because we're too busy staring at the next shiny object right in front of our faces. And this leads to another consequence. The illusion of knowledge. This is the Stephen Hawking point.
Hawking had that great warning that the greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance, it is the illusion of knowledge.
Explain that distinction. Why is the illusion of knowledge worse than just being clueless?
Well, if you are ignorant, and you know you are ignorant, you might be humble enough to ask a question. You might sit down and listen. You might try to learn.
You're open.
You're open. But if you have the illusion of knowledge, if you've read one headline and now you think you understand the entire geopolitical conflict in the Middle East, you stop listening.
You become arrogant.
You become arrogant. You become impossible to teach. You're a closed loop.
It's the Dunning-Kruger effect on a societal scale, and we see this playing out in online arguments every single second of every day.
It is everywhere. Arguments filled with this absolute, unshakable certainty, but completely lacking in any evidence or nuance or self-reflection. Our society has started to reward confidence, just shouting over actual competence.
If you say it loud enough.
If you say it with enough conviction, people will assume you must be right.
The old phrase, wrong and strong.
Exactly. And this feeds right into the next major consequence, which is this rise in both narcissism and tribalism. This references the work of Christopher Lasch, who wrote The Culture of Narcissism.
And he saw this coming decades ago.
Yeah.
This total fixation on the self.
He observed that modern culture was starting to promote this fixation on personal appearance, on instant gratification, on my truth, my brand, my followers.
And when we all get absorbed in our own personal vanity.
The collective intelligence just weakens. It has to. We stop thinking about us as a society and we start thinking only about me as an individual brand to be curated.
And when we do think about us, it's only in a tribal sense. It's us versus them.
Right. Politics devolves from a debate about ideas into a team sport. We cling to these identities. I am a conservative. I am a liberal, like they're football jerseys, rather than engaging with the substance of an argument.
And misinformation just thrives in that environment.
It's the perfect breeding ground, because if a lie confirms my tribe's bias, I will accept it. I don't even care if it's true. I only care that it helps my side win. It's epistemology as warfare.
It's such a grim picture. We've lost the past, we think we know everything, and we're obsessed with ourselves and our own little tribes. But, okay, here's where we have to pivot. Because so far, we've been talking about this whole thing like it's a kind of accident.
Like a bug in the system.
Yeah, like it's just a side effect of technology running amok.
Yeah.
But the analysis pushes us to look deeper than that, to look at the intent.
This is where it gets really uncomfortable.
Right. Section 4, the why, power and control. The material suggests this decline isn't purely accidental. In fact, it's incredibly convenient.
This is the really uncomfortable realization. You have to ask the question, who benefits from a distracted, misinformed, and emotionally reactive population?
And the answer is pretty clear, isn't it? The people who are in power, political leaders, massive corporations, media conglomerates.
A population that doesn't think deeply is a population that is easy to manage. If you aren't asking hard questions about the economy or foreign policy, you aren't challenging authority.
You're not demanding systemic change.
You're too busy arguing about the latest celebrity scandal or the color of a dress on the internet.
It reminds me of the old Roman concept of bread and circuses, panem et circenses. The satirist Juvenal wrote about that almost 2,000 years ago.
It is the classic historical analogy for a reason. In ancient Rome, when the empire was becoming corrupt and starting to crumble, the leaders didn't fix the deep structural problems.
No, they just distracted everyone.
They gave the population free grain, that's the bread, and these massive bloody spectacles at the Colosseum, the circuses.
Distraction as a method of political control. Here, watch these two gladiators fight to the death so you don't notice the senator who is stealing all your money.
It's pacification through pleasure and outrage. And the terrifying question is, does this not sound exactly like the modern world? We have these endless streams of digital content, our modern circus, keeping us docile.
Well, the deeper crises just unfold around us.
Environmental collapse, massive economic inequality, political corruption. But hey, we're too busy watching the show.
And it's not just about distraction in a general sense. It's about the direct control of attention itself. And the discussion brings in Michel Foucault and Noam Chomsky here.
Foucault is absolutely essential here. He argued that power in the modern world operates through these subtle, invisible systems of control. It's not always a boot stamping on a human face. Sometimes it's a notification on a screen.
Foucault talked about the panopticon, the prison where you behave because you know you might be being watched at any moment.
But today, it's even more insidious. We watch ourselves. We perform for the algorithm, hoping it will reward us.
And Chomsky's quote, just. It hits so hard. Propaganda is to a democracy what violence is to a dictatorship.
That is one of the most important sentences in 20th century political thought. In a dictatorship, if you step out of line, the secret police come and drag you away. It's overt.
Right.
In a supposedly free society, the government can't generally do that. So how do you control people? You control what they think about. You control the narrative. You hijack the brain's reward system.
That's the mechanism, hijacking the reward system. If you can control what people pay attention to, you can control what they fear and what they desire.
If you can keep them afraid of their neighbor or constantly desiring the new iPhone, They will never look up and question the system itself.
It's the ultimate form of soft power, and it relies entirely on us choosing to stay on the surface. The moment we decide to dive deep, the entire system of control starts to fracture.
And it can be fractured.
So let's fracture it. Let's break the machine. We're moving to the final section, the resistance. How do we reclaim depth? Because I think recognizing this decline is the first step, but it can't be the last.
Exactly. We have to pivot now from the bleak diagnosis to the opportunity. The material frames it as a choice. Stupidity is a habit. It's a habit of distraction. And if it's a habit,
It can be broken. And intelligence, therefore, is also a habit, a cultivated habit of focus.
and it starts with something that sounds deceptively simple, but is actually incredibly hard for most modern people, reclaiming silence.
The material quotes Søren Kierkegaard, the Danish philosopher.
Who warned that busyness and noise are the tools the world uses to prevent us from truly knowing ourselves. And he wrote that in the 1800s.
If he thought 1840s Denmark was noisy and busy, he would have an actual stroke in Times Square today.
He would not have survived. But his point is more relevant than ever. He said, if I were a doctor and I were allowed to prescribe only one remedy for all the ills of the modern world, I would prescribe silence.
Why? What is it about silence that's so powerful?
Because silence is revolutionary. In a world that is screaming for your attention 24/7, choosing silence is a profound act of rebellion.
It's where reflection happens.
It's the only place it can happen. It allows you to analyze why you believe what you believe, away from the influence of the crowd. You cannot do that while you're scrolling. You cannot do that with a podcast in your ear all day. Even this one, you need the gap.
So practically speaking, this means purposeful disconnection. It means leaving the phone in the other room for an hour, going for a walk without headphones,
Yeah.
just staring at a wall for 5 minutes.
Boredom is the gateway to creativity and deep thought. We've systematically killed boredom, and in doing so, we have strangled thought. We need to reclaim boredom.
Okay, so that's step one. Step two is the art of dialogue. The material brings in the philosopher Martin Buber.
Buber's famous concept of the I relationship. This is about how we encounter other people.
Okay.
In what he calls the I relationship, I treat you as an object. You're something for me to use or to debate or to defeat. You are a tool for me to get likes from.
That's Twitter. That is every online comment section. You're not a person. You're just an avatar for me to dunk on to make myself feel smarter.
Exactly. But in the I-thou relationship, I encounter you as a full, complex human being to be understood. I listen not just to formulate my response, but to actually understand your reality.
This goes right back to the tribalism problem we were talking about. We have to stop trying to win every conversation and start trying to understand the world more accurately.
The material says we grow wiser in community, but only if we listen with openness and question with humility. You have to be willing to enter a conversation ready to be changed by it. If you're not willing to change your mind, you're not thinking, you're just rearranging your prejudices.
And that takes real courage, which leads to the next point, the courage to know. This is Immanuel Kant.
Dare to know,
A
except erode. It was the official motto of the Enlightenment. It means having the courage to use your own reason, not the reason of the pundit, not the reason of the influencer, not the reason of your political party, your own reason.
And the material connects this to Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. He talked about the space.
This is such a crucial idea, Frankl said. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom.
That is one of my favorite concepts of all time. It's so powerful.
It is the perfect antidote to the algorithm. The algorithm is designed to eliminate that space. It wants stimulus instant reaction. See outrage, click, see red hair, get angry, see blue hair, get angry.
The resistance then is widening that space.
Yes.
Even just by a second.
Yes. Pause. Before you react, before you share, before you get angry, just pause and ask, who benefits from me believing this? Is this designed to enlighten me or just to distract me? Is this my system 1 brain or my system 2 brain talking?
That pause is where your freedom lives. If you don't take the pause, you're just a puppet. You're an NPC in someone else's game.
Precisely. And the material offers some really actionable advice here. It talks about discipline and slow thinking. We need to become advocates for slow reading.
What does slow reading actually look like in practice?
It means reading books that are hard. Reading books that fight you a little bit. Don't just read to finish it and check it off a list. Read to understand. And read old books.
I love the C.S. Lewis advice on this.
Read one old book for every 3 new ones you read. Old books aren't part of our current cultural hysteria. They've stood the test of time for a reason. They offer a perspective outside our bubble.
And actively seek out voices that challenge your biases. If you're a liberal, read a serious conservative intellectual. I'm not talking about a troll on Twitter, I mean a real intellectual. If you're a conservative, read a Marxist. Understand the strongest possible version of the other side's argument.
But the text acknowledges that this is hard. It's not fun. It says that thinking for yourself is lonely.
It is lonely. It has to be. It separates you from the comfort of the crowd. The crowd is warm and loud and very, very sure of itself. If you're the one who steps out and says, hang on, I'm not so sure, or I want to think about this a bit more, you risk being ostracized.
But the material argues that this loneliness is the price of enlightenment. You have to be willing to be the idiot in the eyes of the crowd in order to be wise in reality.
I would much rather be a lonely, wise person than a popular fool.
That's the choice we all have to make.
So we have the diagnosis, we have the mechanism, we have the reason why it's happening, and now we have the tools to fight back. Let's wrap this up with the outro. The material promised a final, most important insight.
And the final insight is this. The greatest danger is not that society is getting dumber. The greatest danger is that we begin to accept this decline as normal and inevitable.
Thinking, well, this is just how it is now. This is the future. There's nothing I can do.
Right. The real tragedy is the silence inside. The moment you surrender your own capacity to think deeply. The material reminds us of the historical context. Wisdom has never belonged to the majority.
That's a really comforting thought, actually. We have this tendency to look back at, say, ancient Athens and think everyone was a philosopher walking around in a toga.
Far from it. Socrates was executed by the majority for asking too many questions. Galileo was silenced by the establishment. Martin Luther King Jr. was persecuted by the mainstream. Wisdom is almost always preserved by the few who dare to live differently.
So the fact that it feels like the world is going crazy, that's actually the normal state of affairs.
It is the human condition. The crowd will usually choose comfort and illusion. The few have to actively choose truth and difficulty.
And that leads to the final provocation.
Yeah.
The challenge to you, the person listening right now.
The material leaves us with a question. Are you a part of the problem or are you a part of the solution? Renewal is always possible. The Renaissance came out of the Dark Ages. But it didn't happen by magic.
No?
It happened because individual people chose depth over distraction. It happened because people went back and read the old books and started asking hard questions again. It happened because they decided to wake up.
So the final question for you to take with you is this. Are you living in a way that strengthens your mind or in a way that weakens it?
That's the question to carry with you today. Every time you pick up your phone, every time you turn on the TV, every single time you engage in a conversation, are you feeding the last man inside you or are you building the overman?
It's a choice we make, 100 times a day?
At least.
Make the right one. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Until next time, stay deep.